Hello everyone and welcome to the Blockchain Startup Show. I'm Avan Dabash. In this episode, let's meet a company that's revolutionizing the world of trading with innovative technology. Today, we have the pleasure of introducing you to Syndr, a platform that combines low latency off-chain matching and risk management with decentralized on-chain settlement, making trading easier and more efficient than ever before. Syndr offers traders a seamless and user-friendly experience while providing them with powerful tools to navigate the volatile cryptocurrency market. With Syndr, traders can enjoy easy leverage and hedging options, allowing them to maximize their profit and manage risk effectively. But how exactly does it all work? Let's dive deeper into the world of Syndr as we welcome on board the co-founder and CEO, Vyom Sharma. Vyom, what a pleasure it is having you on board today. Let's start off then by shedding a little bit more light then on Syndr. What exactly is the mission?
Thanks for having me. I'll start by introducing ourselves. So Syndr, we are an institutional grade decentralized derivatives platforms. So the platform that we're building, we enable traders to trade crypto options, futures, perpetuals, multiple kind of like crypto derivatives on the same platform with high performance and high capital efficiency. That's what we do in terms of our mission statement. The platform that we're building, our mission is to onboard the next 100 million DeFi traders onto a decentralized platform instead of a centralized kind of exchange. So that's our mission.
Okay, and can you tell us a little bit more about your team and its background?
So we started the company around 1.5, 2 years back. And initially it just started with me and my co-founder. So me and my co-founder, we both come from an engineering background. We started out as engineers in the space, attending different crypto hackathons, building different products, working at different crypto startups, consulting for different crypto startups. So we have a lot of experience in the area since 2016. And we are primarily we saw a lot of products that were built in the early stage when there were not too many people using those kinds of platforms. So that's where that's kind of our background, where me and Mathur kind of comes from. We also have experience contributing to multiple Ethereum open source protocols since the early days of the crypto space. So we've been the users in that space since the very early days. So we have a lot of first-hand experience in terms of which are the problems that people face when using these kinds of products. Where are the bottlenecks? Where are the friction points? So initially it was just us two who started out the company together. We just had a couple of friends over who were became the first kind of joiners in our company. So for the initial 6 months period, we were just 5 people kind of building stuff out, talking to users, getting feedback on the products that we were building. And since then, we expanded our team to around 10 people. So our team comes from a huge kind of variety of backgrounds. Some of them are engineers in the space, and the team is remote right now. We have people working from all over the globe, and very diverse and culturally also very rich kind of background of individuals in our team. But yeah, primarily most of our team is from an engineering background, and they have first-hand experience of using different crypto products.
I'm sure everyone is very curious. What exactly is Syndr? What does it mean? And why did you go ahead with this name?
So there's not a lot of thought behind that. Basically, we wanted a 5-letter domain that had a .com available. And initially, the product that we were building was around synthetic derivatives. So we shortened that around to Syndr. That was the initial idea, but yeah, the name has kind of stuck so far.
So how does Syndr differ from a centralized exchange?
The main difference is, so when you're trading on a centralized exchange, any of these existing platforms, you're actually trusting the underlying company and the people at those companies to basically safeguard your assets, keep that money safe, not do kind of do shady things with that money. So there's an inherent level of trust kind of built into that product. Where on us, as a decentralized platform, there's we actually don't have users always maintain custody of their own funds. It's not technically possible for anyone except the user account owner to basically access or do anything with that account. And that is kind of built into the code itself. So that's kind of one of the main premise of a decentralized platform. So users maintain custody of their full funds and they have full transparency into what's going on behind the scenes. Everything is public and people can get a detailed audit log of everything that has happened since the launch of the platform. Uh, so that's primarily one area. The problem with these kinds of platforms, traditionally, it has been decentralized platforms have been notoriously slow. They don't scale very well, and the capital efficiency has been super bad. So we have kind of those are the pain points that we have addressed with the product that we built at Syndr.
And we are seeing that gradual shift from centralized finance to decentralized finance happening post FTX. How do you think Syndr has actually positioned itself to capitalize on this and win?
So FTX was obviously a huge kind of a wake up moment for the entire crypto space. Crypto is obviously it's a very volatile environment to be in, and FTX kind of just proved that how quickly things can go wrong, where people did not have any visibility into what was going on behind the scenes, and on the surface everything was looking great, right? So for us, how we are thinking about that event specifically, and how we are trying to translate that into opportunity is first of all, there's a lot of customers which were using some of these platforms who have lost trust, and or either they've lost money or they've lost trust, or they're looking for alternative platforms. So we're positioning ourselves in terms of making the right partnerships, in terms of making the user experience similar to what it was on FTX, having those level of features that the people had available on FTX to kind of in for a decentralized platform. So in terms of that's kind of our strategy in terms of product.
Right. So how does building your own L3 help you in achieving higher throughput and lesser finality time?
We are one of the first platforms to be kind of using this kind of architecture, where we're using a custom layer 3 roll up on top of Arbitrum to act as a settlement layer for our platform. We're the only ones, as far as I'm aware, using this kind of architecture. And the main benefit it brings us is it allows us to abstract away a lot of things, and without kind of competing for block space on layer 2s or layer 1s. But that translates to, in terms of the end user, they get a platform which is much faster, and we're able to replicate the user experience of a centralized platforms, as opposed to the experience that people get right now with other decentralized finance products. That's mainly it. Then there's also a lot of scalability benefits attached to that, which are compounded by using a layer 3 on top of a layer 2.
And what are your long-term goals then with Syndr?
In terms of our long-term goals, we want to be the place where the next 100 million traders get onboarded. That's the kind of lens that we kind of measure every decision at. Is this going to help us get us closer to that goal or not? And there's a lot of pain points that people have generally kind of ignored in that area that we are focusing on, and I think those will be helpful in kind of in a mission statement, which is building a platform which can cater to that level of scale, which we currently see in the Web2 space.
Can you share with us some of the wins that Syndr has achieved until now?
So in terms of our biggest wins, I would say it's for the last after FTX, the industry has kind of users have kind of migrated away. There's been a lot of drop in sentiment, in terms of there's a bear market, and even given the global macroeconomic conditions, recession and rising inflation, those kinds of issues. Our biggest win that I would say is building through that phase. So some of the hardest kind of efforts that we put in the company, in terms of the product, in terms of raising money, in terms of building out a team, we did that during the worst possible time in the industry, right? And for us, it's not a new thing. We have seen another bear market, at least a couple of them, in our experience. But starting a company and just being in the space is a little bit different. So that's our biggest win. I would say kind of outlasting the bear market, building in the bear market.
Well, that's great. And what are you most looking forward to in the decentralized finance space in the coming years?
DeFi space, if I were to kind of dial it down to one single word, I would say security, right? So DeFi, so DeFi is trying to fit in like centuries worth of advancement in banking and financial technology into just like 5 or 6 years. And obviously like that has led to a lot of like security issues where people have lost money. There's been a lot of hacks. And what I'm looking forward to into like having a much more like robust like security infrastructure that are available to like people who are building out of like just kind of new in the space, right? So people when they're using like DeFi products, they typically don't have full visibility into where's the vulnerability surface of that product in terms of like attacks and what can kind of go wrong with the product. The people don't have any visibility into that. So like what we are trying to do with our company and Syndr and the product that we have built is one thing. If you're focusing on security, then you can't move fast. It's very hard to do that because like in DeFi there's certain restrictions in terms of like how you're building the product. If you can't kind of iterate as fast as you can on the Web2 space. So like what I'm looking forward to is like better like security with like DeFi products. I think that would like be a huge turning point in terms of how people view the space and how much like people are accessible in terms of like looking at these kind of companies and products.
Okay, got it. Time for a very short break. When we return, we will continue our discussion with Vyom Sharma, the co-founder and CEO of Syndr. Hi there, everyone, and welcome back to the Blockchain Startup Show. We're in conversation with Vyom Sharma discussing Syndr and its cutting-edge trading capabilities. So what do you think that decentralized finance or Web3 as an industry can do to actually better enable large-scale adoption?
So crypto has been kind of like missing this, like there's no killer application as of right now where it kind of like brings in the next 100, like 200 million, like billion users. We haven't kind of like seen that as of right now. So, and in terms of like what can trigger, there's a lot of issues why like mass adoption has yet to happen. Mainly like it's a combination of things. Like there's like regulatory is like there's no clear regulatory guidelines. And even if like there is, like it differs by country or country, where Web3 inherently it's a global thing. And when you're trying to kind of like navigate the tough kind of like regulatory environment, and it's like very diverse, so that's a very challenging aspect for people in the space. That's one area. And in terms of what we can do is like improve the user experience. Like that's what we are focused on: improving the user experience, making things as easy as people have it right now with like products like Gmail or like applications that we use every day. Like they're like seamless. They're kind of like built around our lives. We don't have to kind of like adjust or make changes to our kind of like daily life to kind of like try out these products. Where in crypto right now, that's the stage you need to memorize a secret key, kind of like store that somewhere. That the user experience is like missing. And it's like obviously a lot harder for people to kind of like move between fiat to crypto, crypto to fiat. Those the regulatory guidelines there have been not uniform or like missing in terms of like that will allow like frictionless experience there. So I think those are two things that we can focus more is like improving the user experience and also working with the regulators and like getting the lobbying the kind of like relevant parties to basically ensure that there's a clear regulatory guidelines for builders in the space.
That's interesting. And what's the one thing then, Vyom, that you would like to share with anyone who's actually looking to start up a Web3 company?
I would say like don't start a Web3 company unless you know what you're getting into. That would be my first piece of advice. I would if someone like I have like friends who are looking to kind of like get into Web3, starting their own companies. And my first kind of attempt is to just like discourage them from this, like because it's a very hard space to be in. There's a lot of like uncertainty and volatility. So the risk factor that you need to kind of like take into account is very high. And but that kind of like so yeah, like people who want to start a startup, they already know like they just can't do anything else. That's what I kind of like feel. And anyone who really wants to get into the space, like my piece of advice would them to be like be patient, ask for help. Like people like kind of like new people who are just getting into Web3, they don't kind of ask for help. And I think that's a mistake. The community in the crypto space, it's very friendly, it's very open. If you know, like if you kind of like just try to reach out and ask for help, I think I speak to a lot of like founders in my kind of like daily life, like who are getting in the space, and we're all learning from each other. And I think it can be a good space, but it's not easy. So be prepared to kind of like it's not going to be short term effort. Be prepared for risk, and yeah, be patient. That would be my advice.
And I have to ask because many traders are concerned about security when it comes to cryptocurrency trading. So, how does Syndr actually ensure the safety of the users' funds and of their data?
In terms of like what we at Syndr specifically do to cater for security is, first of all, is like two three things that like everyone does is like getting security audits. So like we make sure like when getting audits, like there's like multiple parties who are doing the security audits, not just like one single party. And we work with the best kind of like security teams in that area to kind of like cater to that. So that's the one thing that we're doing. And apart from that, like we've also partnered with a lot of like open source, uh, like hacker focused like bounties, like platforms which allow us to like do pen tests and like get actually hackers out there to kind of try and break our systems. And we work with them. We pay them very well to do that. And on top of that, we also kind of like do like quarterly and like in some cases like monthly kind of like security testing. What we are Our approach is to basically take our time with it. We don't rush things which we know are like could be vulnerable or like could kind of like make people lose their money. So we're very sensitive because like we have been on the other end of that system. We've used platforms which have like not catered to a lot of like good security practices. So we understand it's very crucial for our users to basically uh, let trust. Once you lose that trust, it's very hard to regain that. So we take our time with security practices, don't compromise on anything, on time or money or anything. Yeah.
And given that decentralized on chain settlement, that sounds very interesting. So, how is Syndr looking to leverage this technology to actually provide transparent and secure settlements?
So we are a hybrid kind of like platform. So some parts of the system are on chain, some parts are off chain. So the most crucial parts, which are like transferring of money, settlements, clearance, all of those systems that they happen on chain. And in terms of like when I say on chain, I mean like we use a custom layer 3 roll up on top of Arbitrum to basically kind of like do that. And as I mentioned, like we are the first kind of like company in the space to kind of like leverage this kind of like technology. And this has actually just become it kind of allows us to have a lot of benefits in terms of like scalability, do a lot of like cool things on the user experience side as well, which no one else is being able to do. And obviously like scalability, like it allows us to scale because like we are not competing for gas and block space with other applications on layer 1 and layer 2. That allows us to basically translate those costs to our end users, so users don't have to pay any gas fees. So users, when they're trading on platform, everything is like one click. You don't have to sign transactions repeatedly via MetaMask. You don't have to pay gas fees. So like we have kind of abstracted away all of that, and underlying all of that, we use that on-chain settlement technology.
And looking ahead, what are some of the exciting developments or features that traders can expect from Syndr in the near future?
What people can expect is like very high performance and high capital efficiency. We want you to basically be able to switch out any centralized platform that you're using for this decentralized platform with zero loss in performance and without losing any capital efficiency, because that has been the biggest problem with DeFi platform, where like if you have the same portfolio of derivatives or like any positions open in a centralized exchange, and you want to open the same positions in the decentralized platforms, it costs a lot more and it takes very hard to manage. uh, Typically that has been the case, right? So what we want to do is like we want to make it seamless, where you're not losing out on anything, but like gaining in terms of like security and transparency.
So, looking ahead, what exciting developments or features can traders expect from Syndr?
I would have to say like decentralization, uh, because like post FTX, like that has been what has been, I think, like people don't really have an option right now, right? So if you want to trade, the easiest platform that you can do is like are like centralized right now. So if you're an option trader, you'll love our platform for sure. And if you're trading on centralized exchanges, you should try us out because, yeah, it's better and you don't lose out on anything.
Well, Vyom, I must say it's evident that Syndr is following an innovative approach and has great user-centric features. Thank you for sharing with us your knowledge today.
So thanks for having me on the show. It was lovely speaking with you and like getting through all the questions.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of yet another episode of the Blockchain Startup Show. We will see you next week. Until then, this is me, Avan Dabash, signing off.